सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करमावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Hari Om. Welcome to the new series. The symbolism of Hindu gods and rituals. In between, when I say Hindu gods and rituals, we might be getting into the symbolisms of other, religions as well. It's not necessarily it has to be only with reference to, because every religion had used it. So it's not that it is exclusive only for Hinduism or anything. Symbolism is used by all religions in the world. Only thing is, this art of symbolism is being used by these people to its perfection in all aspects. That's why there are people who claim this Hinduism to be a way of life. It's not a religion. Because in the religion, as far as the other side is concerned, it is of a different way. Now here, these people conceived religion in another way, which is totally different from the rest. So that's why this is called as the way of life. Now, what is this religion? See, remember, religion plays a particular role in human life. There is no concept of religion in the world of plants or animals. They don't have it. Only humans have this religion. Like mathematics doesn't exist for animals. Animals don't have mathematics. They don't have physics. They don't have chemistry. They don't have psychology. Now, there are very many subjects, branches of knowledge that's available only for human. Now we understand the role played by mathematics. We understand the role of economics. We understand the role of politics. We understand the role of science, more or less. When we ask this question, now what is the role of religion? Religion is designed, conceived by these great masters to treat the disorders of the mind. A human mind has very many problems, because all stemming from the same root, which is known as vasanas or ignorance. But the manifestation of that is very many. So to treat the maladies or the disorders of the mind, the disease of the mind, they created a multi-speciality hospital, a grand multi-speciality hospital. So when you see on a highway, when you travel your life, you would see a monumental hospital that is known as Hinduism. The board you will see there is this. Like in the rivers, in the Ganges, they have very many ghats. You see, like that. There are very many hospitals. One such hospital is this, a super multi-speciality hospital. Along with that hospital, these people said just hospital is not sufficient. Adjacent to the hospital, they had one more thing. So you enter, there are two entrances to that. One is a straight entrance, another one is a side entrance. Because the five-star hotels, they will have two entrances always. Only one is meant for the customers, another one is meant for the employees. Employees' entrance is very different. Like that. Here also they have two. One is the hospital entrance, another one is the fitness center. So in the same campus, they had built two things. One side, they built a hospital, multi-speciality hospital. Other side, they built a fitness center, not just a gym. You see, a gym is a very narrow one. You know, a fitness center has very many things in that. You can go there and keep sitting. There is entertainment is there. You can play cards. You can spend time there. You can simply sit and take shower. You can play sports. There is indoor sports, outdoor sports, and you will have gym also there. Now this is these people. That is where we have this grand plan of these people. Is if you want to make human life complete, you need to address two issues. One is we need to address the disease of the mind. Then we need to engage the mind and entertain the mind, at the same time exercise the mind also. I'm using the mind in a liberal sense now. Okay, not in the strict definition of mind, in overall. So one day, one aspect is hospital is to treat the mind, fitness center is to strengthen the intellect. These are the two aspects they have. In that comes this dimension of symbolism. Right. Now, the high philosophical, that's where people get totally confused when they come to this religion. Because on one hand, you find they talk a very high philosophy, high flown philosophy. And suddenly from there, they will jump to some rituals, festivals and ceremonies and celebrations and temples and idols, and you name it, these people will start worshipping it. To a point, you just keep one stone and you can start worshipping it. And we start worshipping the mountains, we worship the plants, we worship the trees, we worship animals. And on the other hand, we have a grand philosophies, hair-splitting analysis. How do you reconcile the two? High-flown philosophy with these things is given only for this conflicting practices, conflicting things. A layman looks at all these things and gets confused. You see, a person who doesn't have this understanding, he looks at this conflicting and contradicting things because they don't go together. One hand you have to say this, other hand exactly opposite. You say it is totally confusing. That is why many people started believing Hinduism to be polytheistic religion. Remember, this is not a polytheistic religion. Then what do you call it? Because in the Western aspect of thinking, they have only two, either monotheistic or polytheistic. Either you worship one god or you worship many gods, full stop. Now here, we worship one god in many forms. Now what will you do? This, they can't understand. They said, what? Either you say, we worship one god, or you be clear. Don't confuse me. Our fellows will really confuse. That's what Swami Dayananda Saraswati used to say. Uh, when if you go to a Christian, you tell him, I want to learn Christianity, he will give a book and say, read this book, you will understand. You go to Islam, they'll give one book. You go to Buddhism, they'll give one book. Right? Now, every religion you go, they'll give one book, one book, one book. Now, a Hindu will be standing there. You ask a Hindu, hey, I want to know about you, man. He will say, welcome to the library. There's no one book here. This is a library here. In this library, which book you are going to study, what you are going to do, and it looks so confusing for us. And on top of that, these people say, the number of gods we have, 33 crores. Hey, human population is not so much. You see, we had less human population. The God population is slightly more. What, 33 crores? Very many gods. So many gods are there. What is the connection? You say, no, it's not that these gods are independent entity. Like how the government manages the country. Right? There is an Indian government managing the country called India. Now, had any one of you had seen Indian government? Have you ever met the Indian government? You cannot meet Indian government. You can meet only who? A particular officer of a particular branch of the government. Irrigation department, you can meet. Who? That irrigation department minister or secretary, officer, you can meet. Similarly, you can meet defense. Similarly, you can meet energy. You can meet this department, that department. You will meet only the officer. You can never meet the government. Therefore, can you say these people are all operating independently? Then we'll say, no. All this is managed by the parliament. Now they are going to build a new parliament. Now what will happen to the old one, sir? Old one, that will go off. Therefore, government has disappeared or what? No. Then on what basis parliament? Immediately he will say that is managed by the constitution. Now we'll say constitution. So constitution is what? A book. Now how can a lifeless book printed by me? I printed that book. I set the typing. I did the typing. I did everything. And that book is governing the entire country. Can't make a connection. You cannot understand how this is doing all that. Similarly, they say one government, similarly, one God takes different forms to manage the affairs of the universe. That is called the Devatas. That's what we refer as Devas. Devas also are nothing but a class of their own. Remember, they are also a class. That's about it. Now we see an officer, army officer, when he is going to his office, he will put on a particular dress. Correct. In the same officer, his wife is not at home. Okay. He has to do the cooking in the house for his 2 kids. He is chopping vegetables and he is preparing lunch for the kids. Now, do you think he will be standing in the kitchen with the army dress, with all the medals. No, he'll be standing there with what? One towel. That's all. We'll just put on a towel and we'll be standing in the kitchen and cooking all those things. Now, has he changed? Is he not an army officer now? He's still a same person only, but depending upon what he is going to do, he will dress himself appropriately, isn't it? Depending on the action. When he goes for a wedding reception, he will go in a different dress. He will not go in that army dress there. At least for his wedding. On his wedding day, he will not be standing there with the army dress with AK-47 in his hands. Now, what will happen to that girl? You can't stand with that fellow. No, by mistake, if he presses, it's a risk. He will not stand there. Depending upon what he is doing, he will dress himself. Similarly, we say, depending upon the operations, that same God takes different forms. Now, if I were to be that officer's son, I will deal with him in one way. If I were to be a subordinate for him, I will deal with him in another way. If I were to be his friend, I will deal with him in one way. He will deal with me in another. But the person is same. There is one person only. The person has not changed. Similarly, they say there is only one truth. Ekam Sat. But then, Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti. Those who have that knowledge, they say it is many. There is only one truth, one reality. That one reality who is managing the entire universe. How does he manage the entire universe? Like a king. How does a king manage? He himself will not go everywhere. So what he does, he appoints the officers and he gives his powers distributed to those people. The power is derived. Like all of us derive, all the government derives its power from the laws. From where the laws derive the power? From the constitution. Similarly, one constitution distributing powers to various officers. Similarly, one God distributes various powers to these people. They are called the Devas. That is the gods. That is why we say there are many gods. Very many gods are there here. But don't think they are all independent. We are not contacting that officer. We are contacting the government through that officer. Similarly, our worship is not to them. That's what every ritual, finally they'll say, Akashat patitam toyam yada gacchati sagaram sarvadeva namaskaraha keshavam pratigacchati. Like Akashat patitam toyam means you don't have to worry about the Sanskrit. Okay, you just have to get this, that. But it's a beautiful idea. Everyday ritual, when they do, every time they do everything, they have to say this. Final one they say is this. I have done namaskara to so many gods, so many devatas. I have given my pranams. All that pranams goes only to that one God, Keshav. One God goes. Like the rain falls from in very many places, but all that rain waters finally go and merge only with one ocean. From the heaven, from the clouds, the rain falls. No, all the rain finally goes and joins the ocean only. Similarly, all my namaskaras, all the pranams that we do to very many gods, whether it is Brahma or Vishnu or Shiva or Ganesha or Subramanya, you take Ambal, you take Lakshmi or Durga, Saraswati, Balaji, Badrinath, this one, that one, any god you say, all the gods. Or you go to this Vedic gods like Varuna, Agni, Indra, all those gods also are what? This. They are all just what, sir? They are just this. And it's very interesting here. How does this government officials get their salary? To do their job, they have to be paid, right? How they get paid? From the tax that we pay to the government, isn't it? If you pay tax to the government, that tax money is given to these people as salary. Exactly same way, says Krishna in the Gita, says, what is happening is only this, man. You fellows pay tax properly, they will do their job properly. Thereby, both of you help each other. Government can do all the welfare, protection, developmental supports and all those things that the government can do only if we pay tax properly. Those who have not done, do it. I think government has given extension now. Another 15 days, I think. Pay tax properly. There is a difference between the government officials and here these officials. Okay. The officials which are appointed by the Lord were not like our officials. They are under the table and they can't take. They are not empowered to take anything under table. Under table not possible. Right. Because nothing goes into their account. Everything goes to the government account only. That is what this chanting is. Now, how they get paid? Like this only they get paid. And this is one aspect. We will see in more detail. As we go along, we will see more in detail. Right. Now, there's another aspect in this. This is, he said, religion is meant to remove the problems of the mind. Now, what is the problem of the mind? The mind has a fundamental problem is it keeps rambling. It keeps running out. It is getting involved in the worldly things because of the desires in the mind. The mind will never look towards the higher. It will always look towards the lower. It goes to the lower. Now, how do you turn that mind, which is running towards the world, to God? You have to force the mind who is running towards the world and ask him to stop. Hey, don't keep running in that direction, man. Run towards God. Don't run towards the world. Run towards God. Now, you have to ask him to take a turn. And the problem of the mind is he has so many desires. He wants so many things in the world. He says, I want this, I want that, I have this desire, I have that desire. Every human has very many desires. Now, because of the pressure of the desires, the mind will not move away from the world. The ingenuity of these masters is, your mind doesn't go to God, no. Then I will bring God to wherever your mind goes. It's a very simple equation. If you don't go there, if Moses doesn't come to the mountain, let the mountain come to Moses. That's all. Either case, the agenda is what? Agenda of these people, religion, is to make you think of the divine. That's all the agenda is. What they want is only that much. They don't want anything else. All that we want is this. Now, you are desiring something in the world, you are running. And when you are running in that direction, they have planted gods in any direction your mind can run. Any desire you can have in your life, for every desire, you will run to fulfill towards the world. There is a corresponding object in the world. For every desire of yours, there is a corresponding. That is why your mind is running there. What these people have done is, before you go there, they planted this God in between. I desire success. Is there anyone in the world who says, I don't want success? Hmm? Whether I am qualified, whether I am prepared, whether I have that, right effort I had put in, that all different. But I want desire. I want richness. I want beauty. I want name. I want fame. I want power. I want this. I want you want your wants goes on and on and on and on. So they said, you want success. What you need to do? You will get success. Worship Ganesha and run. What he will do? That is why he is called Vigneshwara. Every one of us will chant this one, very, very popular sloka. Everybody will know. Shuklam Baradaram Vishnum Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet. Till that point, you will not know which God you are worshipping actually. Shuklam Baradaram Vishnum Sasivarnam can be applied to anybody. Vishnu means you think you are worshipping Vishnu. It's not Vishnu actually. Then who you are? Sarva Vigna Upashantaye. Last minute only this fellow comes, like our typical, Telugu movie hero introduction. So much of description. First, one leg will be shown. Suddenly you will see air blowing. Suddenly this, suddenly that. Everything will happen. Last, the face will be shown. Same way, this one also. Everyone will chant this mantra. What is this? Sarva Vigna Upashantaye. The one who removes all the obstacles. Obstacles towards what? Obstacles towards the success of my endeavor. So that is why during exam period, Ganesha becomes very, very busy. You go to this Ganesha temple, be busy with all the students will be there. Whether you believe it or not, whether anyway you go, and you will see them, writing all their roll numbers also in the temple. Everywhere they would have written their roll numbers. The belief is, if he forgets, he should remember, you see. He'll give you success. You want power, you want wealth. Worship Lakshmi. Okay. Very good, sir. Success, I want power. Worship Parvati, Shakti. You want knowledge, Saraswati. What do you want in life? You tell me. I will tell you which God you have to worship. And so many gods, you cannot bypass these people. You cannot. So it's exactly like their plan is like this. I could have read the story of this. There will not be so much of philosophy in these sessions. So don't expect high-flown philosophy like here. It will be little, easy going, some subject this is. Terse philosophy means you have to come to Bhagavad Gita. You have to come there. You want more abstract philosophy, come to Vedanta treatise. Vedanta treatise will have much more philosophy. Now, the symbolism is not so much like that. It is more of stories and all that. Now, there is one Yatrika, the fellow, he was going for Yatra in the desert. He was taking that camel. And the camel and this fellow became very good friends. In 2 days, they became good friends. The daytime, they will travel. In the night, he will put a tent and sleep, take rest. And next day morning, again, they will travel. Hajj Yatra. He was going. Mecca. He was going for that. After the second day, that camel, became very good friend. No. It said, hey, whole day I am carrying you. I'm helping you so much. In the night, it gets in the desert, daytime it will be so hot. In the night, it will get really cold. It's a very peculiar condition, weather condition you will see there. In the desert, it gets really chill in the night. He says, night it gets really chill. So, why I'm experiencing the chillness is because of my nose. You see, if I can protect my nose, like most of us do, you can plug your ears, you won't feel the chillness. You know that. You see a lot of people, put a cotton and they go for a walk in the morning. They don't feel that, chillness experience. Same way, the camel said, all that I want is just give me space to put my nose inside the tent. Because inside the tent it is warm, relatively speaking. And this fellow felt so sorry. He said, okay, push it. So it was keeping the nose inside. After about 15-20 minutes, it said, can I just extend it to my neck? Yeah. He said, okay. See, where you sit the whole day is on my back. Till my front leg, if I push inside, it will be warm for you. He thought, fantastic idea. Correct. What to do now? He said, put two legs inside. In a matter of 2.5 hours, the camel is inside the tent. The boss is outside the tent. It displaces same way. All that they want is just get that thought of divinity in you. That's enough. They just have to plant that thought of divinity in you somewhere. Once that is planted, doesn't make any difference. They say it will work. Slowly it will occupy. Like that camel, slowly it will occupy your entire mind. All that you have to do is what? Give a little room for itself. You see, little room. Just allow me to come inside you, man. Such a practical, ingenious method. That is why these people divinized everything. And what is interesting about this symbol is it is a symbol only if you are able to establish the connection. If you don't establish the connection, then it is not a symbol anymore. You see, for example, your son comes and says, I'm going for final exams, 10th standard board exam, I'm going to write. I'm going for the exams. When he says, he does pranams to you. At least for example, let's say, no, nobody does nowadays. But for example's sake, then immediately you say what? Hey, do pranams to your grandfather also. Yeah, where is grandfather? He passed away years back. Then you point out the picture of your father and say, do pranams to that. And what is interesting is that picture your father? That picture is not your father. Then why are you asking him to do pranams to the picture? Doing pranams to that photograph is as good as doing pranams to your father, according to you. That fellow says what? That's why many times people get confused. They say before going to exam, do pranams, do puja and go to exam. Immediately that fellow shoots back and says, if I don't know the answer, will he write for me? He says. If I don't know answer in the examination hall, will he come and write instead of me? Then I will do pranams to him. And we don't know what to answer because the question is correct. Why? You are able to establish the link between that photograph and father. That picture, that photograph reminds you of something beyond that photograph. You take that photograph as the representative of father. To you, that photograph is father. I repeat, you establish the link. For you, there is a link. Then you take that photograph is representing my father. Over a period of time, that photograph becomes your father. Any insult I do to that photograph is treated by you as insult done to your father himself, isn't it? Any respect I give to that photograph is taken by you as the respect given to your father. Why? Because that photograph becomes your father over a period of time. Imagine you forget that this photograph is a representative of my father. You forget that. And you are taking that photograph to be your father. What will be the condition? That is where it becomes a superstition. That's where it becomes illogical. So long as you are taking that photograph to be representative of your father, it is perfectly sensible. There's nothing wrong in that. No one can object to that. But to say that photograph is my father is absurd. Same way, to say that deity in the temple is a representative of God, to that deity is God, then that fellow will definitely ask. All that they have to throw a doubt in your mind is what? This is this marble or granite stone? All that they have to ask you is it a marble stone or a granite stone? Finished. All your devotion gone. After that, we don't care whether it is marble or bronze or this, Panchaloka or, what is this, a clay or metal or this, that we don't care about anything. Whether it is a black and white photograph of my father or a color photograph of my father or a paint is being sketched by a painter. An artist has sketched my father. That is what I'm keeping as a picture. Doesn't make any difference. As far as I am concerned, that is enough into itself. Now, what they say is all these rituals are nothing but an attempt made by you to remind the purpose of your existence. And your life is punctuated here. If you take the calendar, Hindu calendar, you take series of festivals, series of ceremonies, series of celebrations. All festivals and rituals and celebrations, everything is done only to represent it. That idol is to remind you of the ideal. And you have to take that idol as though it is the ideal. Don't get really confused. It's very simple. Unless you believe the lion in the dream to be real, you will never wake up. Is it not? Imagine in the dream, you have to, when a lion is chasing you, the tiger is chasing you. You have to believe that tiger is actually there and it is chasing you. Only then you will wake up. If you say the lion in the dream is just an illusion, eh, just, concoction, man. There's no reality to it. You will never wake up from the dream. You're all with me? You see, that is called idols. You take that lion real, same way you take that idol real, representing what the idol. You should never forget that. The problem is in this ignorance of this art of symbolism, we have lost that link. We have lost the connection. Since we have lost that connection, there is no enthusiasm, there is no interest to understand and practice. You see, now here these people say, even if you don't understand, doesn't make any difference. Keep practicing. You may not understand. You may not understand all the aspects of a ritual. You may not understand all the aspects of this symbols. What is the symbolism behind it? Do it. Take a coconut and break. Don't worry about what is the symbolism behind it. What is the connection behind it? Because understanding the connection and doing that, they are two different aspects. Remember this. Just because you understand the significance of the temple doesn't mean you will start going to temple every day. Remember, this is where we have got a total chaos. The current generation's mistake is, if the previous generation was making one mistake, we are making another mistake now. Previous generation was making the mistake, what? Doesn't matter, simply do. Now what are we doing, sir? You understand, that's enough. You don't have to do. It's like saying, I understand the value of exercising, but I am not exercising. What will be your state? What will be your physical state? Your condition will be the same. In fact, it will deteriorate. There is a very good chance of you getting into that self-belief that you are better off, because now that you know things, you will start conducting classes. Every alternate Saturday, you will conduct a class on symbolism of Hindu gods and rituals. And people will also listen. Another tragedy. What will happen? You will start believing, I know all that. I got it. You will start believing in that. They say, no, that's the mistake here. Knowing has its own role. Doing has its own role. When it comes to this rituals and the practices, it has to be done by both this mind and intellect. There has to be that confluence. Now, how do you bring that mind and intellect, your emotions and your thinking, which is running in the opposite directions today? If you start feeling, you cannot think. You start thinking, your feeling goes off. You start analyzing, that is why more and more you understand a person, does your love increases or decreases? More you get to know about somebody, you start admiring people who are far off from you. You all realize the current generation's predicament is this, because there is no living role model for them. All the role models we have today is all people who are far off from me. I take role model. Virat Kohli is a role model for me. I have no connection to him. I see him only on the TV, television screen. I'm not interacting with him. Dhoni is a role model to me. I'm not saying Dhoni is not a, or Virat Kohli is not a good role models, please. Now, 2 generations back, you go and ask your grandfather or your father, ask them, they will say, my uncle, aunt, my school teacher, college professor, my, cousin, father, mother, neighbor. They were talking about role models of people who are very close to their life, who they see on a day-to-day basis. Today, we are not able to see that. Why? Because we are not living that philosophy, living that knowledge. We have a lot of knowledge today, which wasn't available for the previous generation. 1 generation back, they were not having so much of information. Today, we have so much of information, but following through with action, that's where this became a big problem. The problem with reference to all these things is one set of people accepted blindly, without understanding, without probing, without investigation, which is a mistake done by the previous generation. The current generation is making another mistake, is what? Blindly rejecting it as meaningless, superstitious beliefs. There's no meaning to all these things. There's no relevance to all that. What's the use of it? What is the relevance? There is no connection between this and that. So they made blindly, they accepted. Now what is the current generation doing? He also having the same blindness only. Only difference is what? The current blindness is manifesting as rejection. In the current generation, previous generations were doing what? Blindly accepting. Only difference is this. The fundamental one remains the same. What is it? Both are blind. They also don't know. We also don't know. And in that ignorance, one said do this, another said do this. That's where this God symbolism, it helps. It is designed to help, whether you are knowledgeable or you are ignorant. This innocent illiterates, it helps. Because whenever you are ignorant only, you are innocent. Once knowledge comes in, you become more cunning. Isn't it? Knowledge makes humanity more cunning than this one. That's why in Zen Buddhism, they'll say, what is transformation? They say, what is nirvana? Is a beautiful statement. From innocence to innocence, you go. That movement has to be from innocence to innocence. You say, no, innocence to innocence. See, from ignorance to knowledge you go, there is a meaning. You see, that we can understand. That's what asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, and all when you chant, it makes a lot of sense to you. But the Zen masters, proclamation doesn't make any sense to us. What is moving from innocence to innocence? The innocence that we all know of is innocence backed by ignorance. That is why a child is innocent. Why? Because it is ignorant. Once it starts gaining knowledge, what happens to that innocence? It's gone. Intelligence comes in, innocence goes out. What religion says is, you have to move next stage. From knowledge, you have to move to the stage of wisdom. When wisdom dawns, the innocence that you had experienced earlier resurfaces in you. This innocence has the flavor of wisdom. The first innocence doesn't carry any flavor. There is no fragrance to it. There is a fragrance to this innocence. That's why all these masters, they are so attractive to us. We naturally gravitate towards those people. How much ever we disagree with their things, you can't disagree with them. You may get angry with those people. You may say, I don't like you. But still, you are gravitated towards those people. What is attractive is the fragrance that they carry. What is that fragrance? That innocence. From where that comes? When the wisdom of the flower were to bloom, it spreads the fragrance of innocence. Therefore, they said, move from innocence to innocence. But right now, where are we, sir? We are ignorant. Illiterate people are innocent. You see, for them also the symbolism helps. If you are a knowledgeable person, again it helps. That's the beauty of this one. The system is so classic. For an innocent person, it gives some vague idea about God, about divinity. He just gets some idea. Earlier he had no idea. Now he has some idea. He knows something. Right. Also, it is that innocent, illiterate person is one who retains the culture. Only they can retain that. To maintain that culture, it facilitates them to maintain that particular culture. Like we have, only India has a very peculiar culture here. Indian student goes abroad. He goes to receive the convocation certificate from the dean. First thing he does is he goes and touches his feet. And that fellow gets uncomfortable. You know, he feels uncomfortable. Yeah, no. Yeah. He says, why are you doing it? Now, only Indian you will find, if he steps on a book, he will immediately take the book and he'll do that. Why? Because he says that book is Goddess Saraswati. Even a 1 rupee note, I don't know whether we have nowadays. 1 rupee note, I don't know. Because so many new notes have come. I'm getting really confused. You know, I got really confused between the 20 rupee note and 200 rupee note, you know. Be careful. Of course, I took, you know, instead of 200, I took 20 and gave. So I was saved. If it would have been the other way around, it would have been 4. You know. Be careful. This notes, you know, are confusing. By mistake, if it were to touch his feet, he immediately takes that and keeps it in his eyes. There is a culture. There is a value. What does it mean? Why he does that? What is it referred? These things and all he doesn't know. The illiterate doesn't know all those things. Why do you have to take a coconut and break? From when this tradition, what is the story behind coconut breaking? There's a very interesting story. You know, they say. And then comes philosophy. First is the practice. You'll simply take the coconut. What are you supposed to do? When you go to a temple, you are supposed to take coconut. Break the coconut, and then The priest will bring back the coconut, give it to you, and there are people who fight for that also. What is it, sir? The coconut has got changed. Archana plate, they give, no? That plate got changed. This is not the plate I gave. Size of coconut, that's all. Plate in the sense, the size of coconut is small now. They fight for that. Doesn't matter. Even if you fight, go. Take it and go. Then comes the story part of it. The story is very interesting. When we go to Ganesh, I will explain more. Okay, just I'll say that, the story. The story is Ganesha being a child, Shiva, his father, he was so playing with the child one day, and he got so excited. In that excited mood, he asked Ganesha, "What do you want? You ask me, I'll give you." A child, you see. A child is not going to ask like how we ask. A child will ask the father anything. Ganesha told him, "Give me your head. Give me your head," he said. He said, "What? You give me head? How can I chop my head and give it to you? I can chop your head and replace. But my chop, how can I, head replacement surgery." Now we know this kidney transplant and all that. No, first transplantation happened was for Ganesha. Head transplantation happened. Shiva is a great, surgeon. He did the surgery successfully. Of course, anesthetist was there. Brahma is anesthetist, helping, Shiva to ensure that surgery goes well and all that. How can he chop his head and give? Now, what is so unique about Shiva's head? He has 3 eyes. We all have 2. He has 3. Very funny picture. You see, as a picture, it's very funny actually. For our eyes, it doesn't look. But a foreigner were to see that, it looks, very funny. Like all Korean movies you see, all people will look same. Hero, villain, comedian, this one, that one. Sometimes heroine also. All ladies will look same. All men will look same for our eyes. Same way for Koreans, when they come to India, for them, all of us will look same. But Shiva, we can easily identify. Wherever he is, we can identify Shiva. Why, sir? 3 eyes. Only fellow to have 3 eyes is this guy. Ganesha got so interested. He said, "You have 3 eyes? No, give me that. I want to play." Playing with that head, what he will do? Keep bouncing. Basketball. Shiva said, "I can't do that." So he created coconut. At the time, he created that coconut with 3 dots, like 3 eyes of Shiva. It's a story. Innocent person will agree to it. He'll say, correct, good story. Today's class was very nice. What, you said very many stories today. He'll go. If you are a person who is intellectual in nature, then the whole analysis is very different. But what is interesting is you can extract the deep philosophical significance only if we continue the practice of breaking that coconut. If we stop breaking the coconut, the philosophy would be forgotten. That we cannot extract after that. So therefore they said, even if you have idli in the house, you want to have chutney for that, go for breaking the coconut. Use that coconut and make a chutney and eat. Doesn't make a difference. But keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. What will happen? One day, one intellectual fellow will come. Emotional person will say what? There is a story there. There is a lot of things happening around it. And there is a lot of emotional connect we can have when you give it in a story form. But don't take the stories to be a literal facts. Remember that. This is where we have started taking the Puranas to be a literal facts. They are not literal facts, please. They are not history. That doesn't mean it's a fiction. It's not like Harry Potter. You see, the Puranas are neither history nor it is like Harry Potter. The stories. Through that stories, they have been giving very many deep philosophy. But to go into the story, you need the rituals, you need the stories, you need to understand the symbolism, the allegorical meaning behind it. If you miss the allegorical meaning behind it, then it is lost completely. Then you lose the whole substance there. Then what will become, sir? It will become a superstition. If you accept it blindly, you will not grow. You will keep breaking coconut, you will keep breaking coconut, breaking coconut. You can have more and more coconut chutney. And of course, it has an advantage. What's the advantage there? You will have good cholesterol in the body. You know that, no? Coconuts you have, it has cholesterols are of two types, good and bad. Same coconut, if you cook and eat, it is bad cholesterol. You eat raw without heating. Amen. Without heating, you eat, it's a good cholesterol. So keep eating coconuts, you get good cholesterol. That's all will happen to your body. Nothing else is going to happen. But if you probe a little, you will be given stories. Now don't get lost there. Little more you go, then comes the real philosophy. Now in this series, what we are going to attempt is only this: to take a particular deity or a particular ritual or a particular custom or combination of that, see very many associated things and probe into the philosophical meaning behind it. If we can do that with reference to few things, over a period of time, you would have learned how this art form had evolved. Once you understand the basic systems and principles, you can start painting on your own. Then you will be able to see the customs and the practices, the ceremonies, and all these things. It's the high philosophy cannot be digested. Symbolism is a method of diluting that ideal, high, concentrated philosophy in an assimible form for the ordinary people. I'll see you in the next class. Thank you.